New York, New York, it's a wonderful town. Hey everyone, Josh here. And as you can see, I'm outside today on the streets of New York, and actually in one of my favorite places of all time, the Theater District. I still get a thrill walking past the theater marquees and thinking about the shows I've seen and the ones I haven't seen yet. So I decided that today's episode is going to be devoted entirely to one of my favorite things, Broadway. First up is an interview with two of the cast members of the hit revival, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? Madison, Dirks, and Carrie, Coon sit down with me in the studio to talk all about this new production of this show, and it was nothing short of amazing. So here, take a look for yourself. In all mediums, there are those movies and plays and books that get labeled as a classic. Well, Edward Albee's Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf is without question one of those plays, and the recent Broadway revival that arrived via the wildly prestigious Steppenwolf Theater from Chicago illustrates exactly why this intense four-person play has remained relevant and vital today as it did when it premiered 50 years ago. So with me are two of the amazing performers from the show who play Honey and Nick, respectively, Carrie, Coon, and Madison, Dirks. Thank you so much for coming in.
Absolutely.
And so this is both your Broadway debuts.
Yes.
How's our city treating you?
It's great.
It is great.
Yeah.
It's hard. Everything's a little harder to do,
Yeah.
but it's not bad. You just have to figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a challenge. You know, like I couldn't find a pillow for days.
They don't
Bed
sell
Bath and
pillows in New
Beyond.
York City,
Where are the
apparently.
pillows? I
Where's
couldn't
the
find a pillow in
Target?
Hell's Kitchen. I look forward to when the show closes. I don't look forward to the show closing, but I look forward to the time after, when we don't have to manage our energy so much and we can actually get out
Right.
and do some more things.
Well,
But the
yeah.
food is good.
Yeah. Working on Broadway is pretty good too. It's kind of nice
It's
taking
great.
the train in. You kind of after you've done the show for a while, then you kind of forget. Then you get off the train and you walk into Times Square, and then you see the Chrysler Building back there. It's like, oh right. This is a
Here
pretty
we are.
good job. This is a
Yeah.
pretty
Big
nice
deal.
way
It's
It's a
to go to
wonderful
work.
job. It is
Yeah.
a big deal.
Well, it is both sort of psychologically, emotionally, I guess, and physically really sort of extensive, the show. And we'd be remiss not to mention your co-stars, Tracy Letts and
pretty
Amy
good.
Morton.
Yeah, they're all right. They're all right.
Do you guys have any sort of like pre-show or like during the show? Because sometimes you guys exit and offer a little bit. Do you have any sort of rituals like for each performance that you do?
Carrie and I have a moment because we walk in together where we kind of check in right
Backstage.
before, and kind of goose her and kind of
Or I pretend
giggle.
like we're driving in the
Yeah,
car.
we do sometimes we do the bit
We
where
get
we're
real silly
parking
back
the
there.
car.
Yeah.
Where, like Honey's
I'm
driving the car and she's
practicing.
practicing her parallel parking, and it's like, oh god,
Little marital.
just shut off the
spat.
engine. Let's just go in.
So sometimes we do that.
Yeah.
And when I'm off stage after, when Honey leaves the stage because she has some problems, I'll often lie down on my cot because playing drunk, you have to be pretty relaxed. So I try to keep my body pretty relaxed.
Oh, speaking of which, that's one of my special questions.
Oh, special question. Ding,
You
ding,
were
ding.
considered the best drunk.
Yay, my family's really proud. Yeah, they're really kind of disturbingly proud of that. Yeah.
Oh, I would be too.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, that's actually interesting because that's another one of my questions is, these roles, all four of them are completely iconic, whether your point of reference is Elizabeth Taylor or somebody who saw like the original production or even the sort of relatively recent Broadway revival with Kathleen Turner. I mean, like, there are these formidable actors that, you invariably are going to be compared to. Do you just, like, as an actor, just be like, okay, I just have to let that all go and no preconceived notion of what it is?
I don't know how you couldn't. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know how you would get up in the morning and go to work if you couldn't put that behind you. Because
Right.
I can't, my best Sandy Dennis impression just isn't going
Right.
to do it,
Yeah.
I can act with my teeth all I want. It's
Yeah.
just not going to get me there. So.
Yeah. And not to mention that, I mean, hopefully if you're doing your job well, if you walk into a room with a preconceived idea of what you're going to do with it specifically, then you're not taking in the energy or what you're getting from the other actors in the room, and all that stuff informs your performance and who that is. I mean, that's what the rehearsal room is for. It's like, well, maybe this is what's going on, and then the person, your scene partner, with what they're bringing in, molds that and changes that. So it's a breathing thing. So I think you can't come in too hard-edged, like, well, I'm not doing what George Siegel did, or I'm
Right.
not doing what David Harbour did. It's like you kind of just have to go in and just figure it out on your own and build it from there.
Have you heard this story that, like, he actually wrote it for four men? Have you heard this part? He vehemently denies it.
Yeah, I've
but, like,
heard that.
There's a whole thing where he actually wrote it for four guys, but in '62 there was no way they could do it for four men.
Right.
And like there have been like analyses of the play, like what kind of relationships these were, and they sort of.
Right.
The thing that and he says is absolutely not,
Right.
Right.
and would never let it be done by four
Right.
guys, but It's interesting because it just sort of, if that's the case, it sort of speaks to the idea that couples are couples.
Right. That's
Right.
exactly what I was going to say. It's like, isn't it just as interesting if he, as a gay man, was able to write these dynamics that are just human?
Well, I know that Mr. Albee actually came to Chicago and to see some of the rehearsals, and he's a notorious toughie. So obviously that must feel good that he sort of gave his stamp of approval. What was it like having him sitting in a rehearsal hall?
Scary. It was
Yeah.
scary.
Really
I
scary.
bet.
Even for Tracy Letts. Tracy was like, and that was the most terrifying thing I've ever done when we finished
And
running
Tracy
the
had
first
met
act.
Edward and spent time with Mr.
Yeah.
Albee, so he was. I had never met him. I'd never spent any time with him. Pam was really good because Pam has a professional and a personal relationship with Mr. Albee, so she kind of gave us some heads up about here's kind of how he's going to be, and this is what we're going to kind of do. So we kind of had that in our minds. But still, when he gets in there and he walks in the door and he sits down, and you've got to start Act 1, it's like, oh my
So
God!
terrifying.
All right.
We thought we'd be fired. I mean, we all thought.
I really thought I was
like, who's the first person to get fired?
Yeah, I thought I was going to eat it.
You can do the play, but they have to go.
Yeah.
Right.
But he was really generous with us and very self-deprecating and kept out of Pam's way. And if he had notes, he gave them to her when we were no longer there, and then she'd come back the next day and work us over. And at one point, Madison was in the bathroom, and we were going to start again, and Mr. Albee got up and he said, I'll play Nick, and he started doing the lines at the bar from that next act. So it was kind of wonderful to have him, but
Yeah,
and
he
we
was-
took some big adjustments while he was there.
Yeah, he pointed us in the right way, and he kind of gave us the idea, like maybe it's more this than this, but it was all very
Degrees.
complimentary. Yeah, he was very sweet.
Amazing.
He's a sweet man to have in the room, and supportive of Pam, supportive of us.
Well, it's very exciting, and I don't know if you know this, but I was told, and this is my second secret question, well, actually, that you were just voted the best play on Broadway by the New York Times and AP, as well as New York Magazine, Time Magazine.
I
That's
didn't see all
amazing.
those.
I couldn't have. Oh,
Yeah,
those
those
things.
are some rousing
Yeah,
endorsements.
I've never heard of any of those publications.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
know.
even they're,
I've heard of the New York Times.
they're scrappy
Once or
startups.
twice.
Yeah,
No,
I
it's
hope
really flattering.
it is really flattering. I
Yeah.
hope it means that people will come out and see us, because I think it's a really wonderful evening in the theater, and it's very funny and really moving, and the audiences have come away. We had these women, we were doing the Broadway carriage drives, and this woman just came up and just hugged us in the lobby. I mean, people were really moved by it. And I think Amy and Tracy are really.
And I think people,
knocking it
you're
out
right,
of
and
the
people
park.
have ideas about this play. I think people when you ask people about the play, like, oh, I know that play, there's drinking and shouting. And that's all people get, drinking and shouting. And then people come see the production, like the play, and we'll talk to them after the theater at the stage door, and they're like, oh my God, it was a love story. It's a love story. And it's like, yeah. And that kind of amazes people, and they're like overwhelmed. I mean, people in this a lot of older people in the 80s, I would see shows all the time. Like, I never knew that's what this play was.
Yeah.
I feel like I've never heard the play before, and that's kind of incredible to have that experience in the audience.
Well, it is a really, really satisfying evening in the theater, I have to say, and I highly encourage everybody to go see it. Congratulations on
Thank you
all
so
the
much.
success, the lists,
you.
the everything, the best drunk, of course.
Masterclass. I want to go to masterclass.
The play is Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, playing at the Booth Theater now through February 24th. You can go to virginiawolfbroadway.com for all the information and tickets, and thank you again for taking time out of your busy
pleasure.
schedules
No,
to come
this
in and
is
chat
great.
with me. I loved it. They were great, right? What did I tell you? So next up is a short piece on a new off-Broadway show called Bear. It's a new musical about two high school boys who are in love. It's a great story and heartfelt performances and a surefire cult hit. And it's worth noting that it is choreographed by So You Can Think You Can Dance winner Travis Wall. So let's take a look. Welcome to the Advocate Seat Filler on Here TV. I'm Josh Rosenzweig, and I'm here to bring you all the news and goings on in the New York theater scene. Now, I grew up going to the theater, so my goal is to give you some thoughts and opinions and information to hopefully encourage you to go to the theater and find out what it's like for yourself. Today, I'm going to talk about a brand new off-Broadway musical called Bear. The show is poised to be the musical for the post-Rent generation. With catchy pop-style tunes and some super booming voices, I can see Bear garnering a huge cult following. The story, set in a co-ed Catholic parochial school, is about a young love affair between two teenage boys, Peter, the smart, sassy, worldlier of the two, and Jason, the somewhat, or at least hopefully somewhat, on his way to being enlightened jock. The first act plays out pretty much expected as the boys' romance goes from hot and heavy, but is also very closeted. Jason, of course, being the jock he is, wants or needs to keep it that way. And Peter, well, he wants to sing it from the highest point in the land, sort of Maria von Trapp style. Then there's Jason's sister, the outcast drug dealer Nadia, the school slut Ivy, and a whole host of other kids to round out the high school archetypes. Missy Pyle, who you may remember from Tim Burton's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, plays a progressive thinking nun who is directing the school play. And you guessed it, it's Romeo and Juliet. And yes, the plot then vaguely follows the course of those ill-fated lovers. Remember, love never did run smooth and all that. The second act takes a decidedly more dramatic and somewhat maudlin turn, and, well, like our star-crossed lovers of yore, it ends tragically. But it's not the plot that you go to see Bear for. It's for the youthful exuberance and the high wattage energy that makes this a great show. It's fun, it's exciting, and a strong cast and some good tunes. My favorite number, which is kind of unlike any of the others in the show, is this great fantasy number that Missy Pyle, Sister Joan, sings in Act 1 as a sort of spiritual fantasy. Stanford Arima does a great job getting moving and honest performances out of his cast, and the set by Danielle Whirl, made of hundreds of photos, is truly a work of art unto itself, and it's beautifully lit, I may add, by Howell Binkley. My only gripe is with the choreography. Travis Wall uses a very stylized postmodern approach that seems to be inorganic to the story and tone of the piece. This added layer of concert dance style movement is, in my opinion, unnecessary, and instead of adding artistic heft, it just weighs it down needlessly. But as I said to a friend of mine who I was with that night, if I were in high school and I saw this musical, I would be obsessed. I know that gay characters and gay plot lines are all over the place now. Glee, The New Normal, even Game of Thrones and Downton Abbey have gay in it. But let's look at this culturally for a second. A show. A well-produced, well-performed, well-written, thoughtful show about two boys. Two high school boys and their first love. Now, how many plays or movies or books are there about regular young love? Spring Awakening, Romeo and Juliet, Rebel Without a Cause, 16 Candles, I could go on and on. But a story about two young boys finding and experiencing first love is rare. I cannot think of any other examples. So on that alone, we should welcome Bear with open arms. But fortunately, there's plenty more to back it up. So go see it. Playing at the New World Stages, go to bearmusicalnyc.com for more information and tickets. Next up, I sit down for a little chat with Mr. Chatterbox himself, Mr. Broadway, Seth Rudetsky. He is Mr. Broadway, and I'm a huge fan. So here is my interview with the amazing Seth Rudetsky. Now, I have to start this show by reminding everybody what a huge theater geek I am. And, well, today I think I've met my match. My guest has been immersed in the world of theater since he was a child, and he has the distinct honor in my own personal hall of fame as making me laugh harder than almost anyone. He has worked with just about everybody in the theater community, and he has his own show on Sirius XM Radio, as well as his own entertainment network, Seth TV. So welcome, in his own words, the amazing Seth Rudetsky.
Oh,
Thank you.
Thank you, Josh.
For coming in. And as we were talking before we started, you make me laugh so hard, and I really look forward to, one of the things I look forward to every year is Gypsy of the Year that you host. Now, you have your own show on Sirius, and you have your own live show, which I also saw, The Rhapsody of Seth, and you have your own entertainment network. How do you find time to do all of this?
People always ask me that. I think I don't know, I just feel like, how do people find the time to live a real life? I feel like people that have families that have to get to work by 9, means they have to wake up at 7, and then they get home, they have to be with their families, they have to work out. How do people live that life? To me, it's my life is just everything I do takes an hour. I don't know, it's an hour here, an hour there. Nothing takes a long time, so I don't think it's hard.
What about the brain power behind it?
Well, I've always been fast. Yeah, so that's not a problem.
And we should mention that you do host this theater show on Sirius XM, and I listen to it often. And
Mercy.
And you interview all these wonderful people. And when you host the music show, do you have a playlist in mind, or?
No, playlist. The DJs have nothing to do with the playlist, which is, I have to always say it because I'm always getting emails why do you never play, or why do you keep playing?
That is my question.
Yeah, so cut. So we don't have any power over that. That's all the producer of the show. So
Okay.
the producer of the show gives me the playlist. And then No, I just, before every song, I just think of something I want to say about the song. I don't sit and be like, what am I possibly going to say about Patty the Pony? I got like, 20 stories and I just haul one out.
And in terms of the other show, how much thought and
Nothing really. I really treat those shows like my life. Like, I love going out to lunch with my theater friends and being like, oh my God, did your wig ever fall off on stage? What was the audition like for a chorus line down in McKechnie? Like, it's everything I'd want to ask at a lunch, and then I just happen to have a microphone there. So I don't really do a lot of preparation, and people are like, you know everything. And I'm like, well, I've been obsessed with theater, like you said, since I was a kid, and I've read, and I've also done a million interviews, so I retain a lot. Besides just the water retention, I actually retain a lot of information. Seriously, I retain a lot of information. So it's not hard for me to be able to chitty-chat with someone for a long time.
do you see any sort of trends happening in like the musical theater in particular? Like,
Some of the trends are depressing, which is the complete decimation of the orchestra, and it really is a big trend. It's like every show is, first of all, they're calling bands orchestras now. So they'll be like, the 11-person orchestra. I'm like, okay, that's actually a band. And it's literally like going climate change, so global warming. It's crazy double talk. So anyway, that is devastating to me, that the sound I grew up on, that beautiful Broadway sound, is being decimated by the producers. So that is a horrific trend. Also, this whole theory that if it's a movie, it's going to sell on Broadway, which is, by the way, the opposite of the old trends, which used to be, like Mame, they didn't want to make Mame into a musical. They were like, it was already a movie. Who would ever want to see it? So that was the thinking back then. Why would someone see a musical that was already a movie? Nowadays, it's like, it's a movie. Of course there should be a musical. Everyone will see it. But it's constantly proven wrong. But producers still don't. There have been so many musical movies that have bombed. Musicals made out of movies that have bombed. But they still keep thinking that's the only way to get an audience. So those are the depressing trends. But in terms of positive trends, I'd say definitely In the Heights. I mean, really the first time a full hip hop musical was on Broadway, except for what I always say, the beginning of Music Man, cash for the merchandise, which totally is hip hop. So anyway, I really always think there are no rules on Broadway. Avenue Q was like a little puppet show, and yet it was amazing, and it won the Tony Award. You never know what's going to be a hit. So kind of the answer is, I don't think there are any trends.
and what about the sort of just movie musicals in general?
Yes, I don't like them. So that's the whole thing. I hate lip syncing. My whole life I've hated
Okay.
it. Even if it's their own voice, I hate it. I love Broadway. I hate music videos. I'm like, why do I want to see someone literally moving their mouth? I really don't even understand why that's enjoyable, to see someone moving their mouth pretending to sing. What's cool to me is seeing someone singing.
And what about the latest movie musical?
Les Mis?
Yeah.
What's depressing about that? I was so excited that they were singing live because now if you know a little inside scoop, Barbra Streisand and Funny Girl sang live. The very beginning of My Man, that's just piano, is her actually singing live with the piano. And of course, that's like so exciting to me to watch it. I'm like, oh my God, it's her live. And then she lip syncs. So I love that Les Mis was filmed live, but then what they do is the horrific new trend now, it's completely processed. So it's them singing live and then filtered through crazy auto-tune and reverb. So like, it still sounds lip sync, like it still sounds pre-recorded. So it's still not particularly enjoyable to me. I wish they just let it be their live voices. That's what's cool about theater. It makes my head come off. People don't know that.
In terms of like what's coming up this spring, is there anything in particular you're very excited to see?
Well, I already saw Pippin, and it's great. My really good friend Andrea Martin is in it, and she's hilarious. The thing I'm the most thrilled about is my good friend Billy Porter. We did Grease together 20 years ago, and one of the most talented people I've ever met in my whole life. He's never had his Funny Girl. He's never had his show where he gets to show everything that he does, and finally he's the lead in Kinky Boots. And I literally feel like tearing up, like talking about it. I'm so happy for him, and everyone says he's going to win the Tony, whether he does or not. I still feel like he has a Broadway show where he's the lead. I'm so thrilled for him. Yeah.
I think it's going to be great.
I hope so.
Now, we should talk about one of the things that I'm such a huge fan of is this thing that you do called deconstructions. Like, how did that come about? First, explain to those of us who haven't seen them what they are, and then how you sort of managed to come up with this unique
Maybe we
idea.
can show a clip of it. So I'm gonna hope that right now, after this film, we're gonna put a clip. This is like one of my signature deconstructions. So take a look.
What she does, okay, this is from the second Barbra Streisand album. The phrase is, my man is gone. When your man is gone, your world just falls apart. So let's say you're a singer, like, I don't want to go, your world just falls apart. I don't want to hit that T. I'm just going to go, your world just falls apart. Okay, she opts out of hitting the T, and instead of just fading out, she changes the T to a D and then overemphasizes it. So she literally goes, your world just falls apart. Let's hear it.
My man is gone, and when your man is gone, your world just falls apart. So
It's essentially me trying to teach an audience what I think is either brilliant about a song or hilarious or awful. So instead of people just being like, that was good, I can go like, oh my God, this is what's amazing about it. So they're the real comedic ones. But then I also have the more kind of serious deconstructions where I'm just like, do you understand the placement of this note is so brilliant and the fact that she straight tones and goes for vibrato? And then I explain that and then I play it and someone's like, oh my God, I always love that. So I love explaining to an audience, this is what I think is brilliant. And then they go, oh my God, I never noticed that. It is brilliant. So the deconstructions began because literally my whole life I've been doing it. I mean, I make this joke in my show Rhapsody and Seth. I say, I remember when I was sixth grade, I called my friend Michael Smith on the phone. I played him Ain't Misbehavin', and I was screaming, she just belted an E. She just belted. I was literally holding it next to the record player, and I'm sure he was like, I don't know what belting is, I don't know what an E is, I'm 11, I'm straight, what's happening? Anyway, but the point is, I've always been describing to my friends, this is what's brilliant. I was working with Amanda Lipitz on that Legally Blonde reality show, and she's this young producer. She's like 26 years old, and she's like, you need to go on the internet. So she said, you should put yourself on YouTube, and I put that clip of me, Barbara, and B on the internet, and I got all these hits, and I was like, I feel like I have something, and I just began to just do it more and more, and now it's become my signature.
Oh my God, they are really amazing.
Thank
and
Amazing.
amazing, and so worth seeing every single one of them.
Thank you, dear.
You know, one of the things that like I absolutely have loved about watching you for several years now is just your ability to just be yourself and not worry about putting on any sort of, like, do you think that like being in the theater has just sort of allowed you the freedom to just be sort of like funny and over the top, you know, like I don't even know how I would describe
family,
you.
like my family is really, everything is about, you know, oh my God, I have a story. So my whole life I grew up with just everybody telling stories and being really funny. So I think you have to be really funny and speak really fast and have really interesting things to say, because like one of my family's signature expression is not interested. It's like, you know, you'll be telling a story like so you literally had to keep people's attention all the time. Not joking. So like, I think I learned it there, and then I think the fact that I probably tried to shut down in certain ways in high school, you know, for being gay, and I didn't want people to call attention to myself. But I think the fact that I went to Oberlin, which is, I always say it's literally like a gay bar with dorms. I mean, you can't believe how there's some people that are gay and it's so comfortable. And I was 17 when I went there. I think I felt very free to do whatever I wanted there. And then, yeah, then I went into theater where you could totally be like this. I mean, I was told, I mean, when I was playing piano, they'd be like, you know, can you play piano for this Lincoln Center audition? I'm like, yeah, like, will you be quiet during the, because like literally I would be like, anywho, like I literally, so I think I have always, so I had to sort of find a niche for myself where I can actually babble a lot and get paid for it instead of fired.
And we should mention that you worked on a film called Varla Jean and the Mushroom Heads.
Hilarious.
Which we will be showing on Here TV in the spring.
It is so funny. Jeff Robertson plays Varla Jean Merman, and he's just like me with the ADD, where he wrote it like the day before we filmed. I mean, he wrote it so last minute, and he had months to prepare. But he's such a genius. He actually wrote it with Jacques Lamar. They wrote this script so quickly, and there's so many hilarious moments in it. I play myself. You know, I play Seth Rudetsky, then I come to help Varla start her own TV series, and she's just an effing idiot. So constantly throughout the movie, she's constantly by accident stabbing me with a hypodermic needle, and like she stabs me. And then what's her first line? She goes, oh, I'm sorry, I thought the cap was on it. It was when I found it. I'm like, when you found it, like, it's literally a needle. She's just hilarious.
She is really, really hilarious.
Such a funny movie.
Well, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming in today and chatting with us.
Thank you.
Again, you need to check out SethTV.com, and you will get all the information around Seth Rudetsky. And again, thank you for coming in. If you want to ever contact me, you can always reach me at justjosh@heretv.com. That's justjosh@heretv.com. And as always, we'll see you again soon. So there you have it. Sharing a little bit of what I love, Broadway, with you. So come to New York, come see a show, and write to me and tell me what you think of it. Remember, I love, love, love to hear from you, so you can always reach me at justjosh@heretv.com. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you again soon.